In this video, I will provide you with a few more things you can think about when trying to spruce up your winder stairs by putting some curves in them. And of course, some of the reasons why you might not be able to put certain types of curves in there, including this one here. If you remember, we have a minimum of 6 inches for the inside area of a winder stairway. And you're probably thinking, oh, wait a minute, now it's a circular stairway. Either way, 6 inches is probably going to apply to both of those. But here it is. We got a little curve on the inside. And the curve is coming from here. This would be the center point, and then we draw our circle. As long as this meets the minimum building code requirements for your area, you would be able to do something like this. So you could always, if you wanted to do something like this, you could always move this set of stairs this way and this one this way a little bit, and then make the winders a little larger, and then you wouldn't have a problem with that. And you'll see a little bit more of that later on in the video. On the outside, this wouldn't be a problem either, because usually the outside, it doesn't have a minimum. The inside does. Outside doesn't have a minimum. We also have a walk line that we would need to take into consideration when designing a stairway like this. And I think I'll put a link here or in the video description area. And again, you can always look that up, walk line for winder stairs, and I already have a video on that if for some reason I don't get to that. But the width of the stairway usually has a minimum, and on a residential set of stairs it's going to be 36 inches. So if I was to do something like this, I'm not going to have a problem. I'm just going to measure from here to here, make sure that it is above the minimum, 36 inches. I think what I have here is 38 inches, not going to be a problem. You would end up with something like this. Take a look at it as after it was built. Be something like this here. Not a bad design, kind of crossing over between whether it's going to be a circular or a winder stairway, but I do both of them. You might want to just have one on the outside. You might just want to have it on the inside. And another idea would be to just curve this area here. Now, if you notice, this one here, I use this as the center point. And over here, I use this one here as a center point to get this curve. But this curve doesn't look that good. You know, it doesn't. And you can see there's not that much of a difference just going out a few inches in the curve. But we can take and change that by doing something like this, just simply drawing a line from the step. And you don't have to follow this. You can go a little further out or a little closer, but this one right here is going to give you a nice curved shape that's going to blend in if you use a center point here. And you're just going to be coming off of here parallel to this line, and then this one here will be parallel off of this one from both of these points. Draw your curve in there, and of course this one, like I said, finish this off a little nicer, especially if it's up against a wall. Something like this would look nice. And again, this is kind of what I saw that inspired the video. Something else you might consider would be to simply connect the dots here and create a couple of angled sections in the wall. Something like this. Here's what it would look like after it was built. Now, I do need to point out that if you have a nosing or some type of a tread overhang, you might need to remodify the steps if you want the nosing to line up with these points here. So here we have a set of stairs where there's no nosing on it. The riser is flat and no overhang. A lot of times we have a 1-inch overhang. If that's the case, you're going to need to move the risers back the length of the overhang. 1-inch overhang, going to need to move the risers back 1 inch so that the overhang dies in here. But you might actually want the riser to die into the corner and then have an overhang. That would be up to you, personal preference there. Just pointing it out. I know it's a big mistake stair builders make. They go and they lay everything out and they build everything to this, and then they add risers to it. They might add finished materials, some 1x4s, 1x6, 1x8s for the risers, and then put a nosing on it, and then add materials, and then pretty soon they're 2 inches away from this corner, and the stairway doesn't look as nice. And in our last example here, I wanted to give you an idea of what might happen to the winder steps at the farthest point on the inside when you go with a longer curve. And of course, you're going to lose the minimum here. So instead of having 6 inches, we end up with about 2 inches, if that. So this again can be corrected if we move this section a little further this way and this section a little further this way, so that we can have everything work out on this side. And that might actually make the stairway a little wider in some cases, or even create a situation to where you might just want to use two steps instead of 3 steps for your winder.